The George A. Romero fan inside of me absolutely bursts with excitement with every new zombie game that gets released. So when one comes along that touts itself as a realistic zombie survival game, my interest goes through the roof. My interest and excitement, however, severely dwindled when I realized there was no promotion for this game, there was no reviews up on YouTube, and none of the big PSVR channels were covering it. Since I started putting footage together for this review, however, a few other channels have covered it, so please go and check out their videos for a more informed decision on whether you should buy it or not. This is an indie game from a two-man development team called Candy Makers, who also published the game, and was previously only available on PCVR. Unfortunately, porting it over from the PC has brought some problems with it. I'd like to discuss those problems first and then move on to the positives, because there are quite a few positives, believe it or not. The overall level of jank, everything seems janky in the game. The graphics are nothing to write home about. It's not going to give the Wanderer a run for its money or anything. There's low resolution, there's blur, there's quite a heavy amount of blur actually. And coupled with that, the game world is incredibly dark. You can't really see it from the footage here, but even in the most well-lit areas, the game world is still very, very dark. You do have torches that you can attach to the end of your gun. However, aiming with the gun severely slows down your walking speed, which does make the game seem a little frustrating. I kept hoping for maybe some daytime levels, or maybe some more well-lit areas, but they didn't come. In fact, towards the end of the game, it gets even darker, going down tunnels that are pitch black, really hard to navigate. Speaking of navigation, your map must be retrieved from your backpack that's over your shoulder. Sometimes when you go to grab your map, however, you open your backpack, it doesn't open. It simply can't. So you're left there tapping the button, trying to make it open, when it just won't sometimes. Then, of course, you have to hold the map in one hand and defend yourself with the other hand. And defending yourself, you have to reload your guns with two hands. So you're constantly dropping the map back in the backpack to reload your gun, then to try and open the backpack again, to try and get your map out again. This is alleviated in co-op mode. However, co-op mode doesn't always work, and I played through the game solo. So it was a delicate balancing act, trying to hold a map and defend myself while picking up items and opening doors. And it was kind of frustrating after a while. The game does feature some pretty impressive weapons. They sound fantastic. They sound quite realistic. The melee weapons are a bit hit and miss. Sometimes they don't connect. Sometimes they work really, really well. And there are some interesting weapons toward the end of the game that look like makeshift swords and makeshift hammers. The guns are also a bit hit and miss. Excuse the pun there. Sometimes you shoot your target and it lands. It lands perfectly with a nice head pop. Other times you shoot and the shots go straight through the zombies. The long range weapons as well, they're simply not long range. This could be down to how dark and foggy the game world is. The game world is so foggy you'd think the game is set in Silent Hill. And also, the game world, there's so much popping. Like, cars would be invisible and then it would just pop into existence right in front of you. The game also has some unintentional jump scares where you'll be in a building and a zombie will just appear right in front of you. There doesn't really seem to be a real reason for the popping, because you're walking so slowly, and I'm running this game on the PS5, so I don't understand how the game can be released with such problems. On Chapter 2, the sewers, it was so janky that the game world would simply not load in fast enough for me to walk, and I would find myself falling through the floor on a number of occasions and had to reload the game. After spending some time in the sewers, I would just wait there and wait for the world to just load in before I could move on, so that I wouldn't have to reload the game again. This I hope to be fixed in the future. The game boasts 18 hours worth of gameplay, and I'm guessing most of those 18 hours are spent aimlessly wandering around the sewer, walking into dead end after dead end, and retracking and backtracking to and fro in the sewer. Also, due to the online nature of this game, there's no pause button. You can't pause the game world. That can be frustrating when you want to just take a break from all the walking around. So this means that if you have a wife who passively aggressively rage cleans every single time you put on your VR headset and expects you to help her, then this probably isn't the game for you, my brother. The controls are incredibly uncomfortable. To walk forward, you have to hold the X button, which, as you know, with the Move controllers, there is a slight little nubbin on the X, which feels incredibly sharp after you've been holding it down for an hour trying to move forward. There is a nice big soft move button right next to it. I have no idea why they didn't use that to walk forward, but that is what it is. So with all those problems, why am I having so much fun on this game? I literally couldn't stop playing it at one point. It became quite addictive. There is a lot of fun to be had with this title. Time on this game was spent during the story. The story is okay enough. It is full of fetch me quests, but while you're doing those fetch me quests, you're fending off against the undead. There's a few different enemy types. In the beginning, the zombies are just Ramiro-style shufflers. Around the middle section, they start to get a bit quicker, but by the end, they are full-on 28 days later style runners. There's a few other enemy types, such as brutes, and even a few bosses. And while you're fighting those enemies, you are breaking into houses using a drill, checking cupboards for supplies, and checking army trucks and police cars for weapons. But the real fun in this game is in survive mode. This is how I think the game is meant to be played. Everything you do in survive mode gains XP. That XP can be used to level up your character. And when you level up your character, you unlock crafting options, such as the ability to craft helmets, clothes, and weapons. You can even craft weapon skins. This mode can also be played online with others, but be warned, not everybody can be trusted. So real players can kill you and take your precious supplies. You could be lost for hours just exploring the world ravaged by the zombie apocalypse, finding various Easter eggs, finding new weapons, and just surviving. If I was going to give this game a score, I would give it a solid 5 out of 10. All of the problems I mentioned could be easily fixed with patches. The developers have also mentioned that they're working on a PSVR2 version, so let's hope that this game gets cleaned up, and then it would be in the upper echelon of games, probably about an 8 or a 9. But for now, I would hold off on buying it and wait for a sale. Thanks for dropping by. Hope to see you again on the battlefield.